Hey Kyle, Nelson Mason here, your Racers360 coach. I'm getting this video back to you a little bit late. Sorry about that. The lap was quite a bit longer, and I've had some things on my side which held things up. But hopefully, I get it over to you soon enough. We'll run through this lap. This is definitely the long circuit of VIR. This is takes you in and out of the Virginia countryside time and time and time again. But we'll run through it together here. We'll really focus on the fundamentals. I mean, you're quick. The car is really good. Obviously, it has a lot of sticks, so that makes our lives a little bit easier, and we can focus a little bit more on how we just maximize the time. The one thing I'll say about this car is it is a little bit it's so good that it does hide some of the key errors. So if we jump from this car to another car, we will maybe have to work a little bit harder on how we enter and exit the corner with braking and throttle. But we'll touch on that a little bit here. But obviously the car has a ton of stick on traction, so that makes your life easier, and you're driving it well on that basis. So breaking into this first section here, really the biggest thing I would say is right now we kind of stop the car and rotate it around and just keep it tight. I would allow a little bit more roll into this. So where we are running, we're kind of following this paved section a little bit more. And what that's going to do is just allow the car to come out a little bit more. But when it allows us to carry in a touch bit more speed, not stop the car so much on entry, so that we're not having to make the car so overly accelerate. And it allows us to open up the exit a little bit. So we see a little bit more. We can then kind of place the car a bit better. Trying to hold it on the inside of the track, we're always limited by the radius of the inside of the track. So we're not at full load with the steering, and we're kind of guesstimating. And by the time the track actually does cut away, our trajectory into once we start getting into the left-handers isn't as great. So when we come around here, see, you really, really cut it tight, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but we just have to really stop the car and wait so long to get back to power. So we're going to do this line here and try to follow this all the way along. When the line I would like to do is we carried the speed in. We're kind of out here, and we're working to bring the car back. So keeping it on the road, but then we're kind of bringing it back. That's going to allow us to just kind of carry a little bit more speed through. Now, usually I'm all for stop and go. It's just here we need to kind of plan our attack a little bit better. We kind of want to do this, we kind of want to like diamond it, so to speak, but we're like turning, getting the car rotated out here and then cutting it back. That's more or less what we're doing, rather than rotating it here and just kind of driving along this white line till that opens up. Oh, what did I just do? Okay. So open it up, we'll come out a little bit further. You see, now we're kind of stuck, right? Now, realistically, we forever have the car pointed out to these trees, rather than if we were out here, we're kind of rotating around and coming back like this. You understand what I mean? So we've got a little bit more rotation in the car. We carried our speed a bit deeper, we get it rotated out here, and then we cut back. And then, here we do kind of break in a straight line. I would like to see us just, again, work a little bit harder prepping the car, where we kind of come and we're trying to break in a straight line like this. So, we're cutting through like this, and then our trajectory is just kind of pointed out of the corner a little bit, and then we're having to turn it back, and we're having to kind of slow quite a bit in order to get it to turn in. If we work a little bit harder here and maybe not cut this so straight, it may just allow us a little bit to straighten the car a little bit more on braking and sit on the outside of the track a little bit better to open our entry. Okay, so now this is where I'm talking about the fundamentals. We're already on throttle, but we're on throttle and we have the car driving out here. So we're not on throttle towards the direction we want to be going. We're on throttle towards the direction we don't want to be going. What this is going to do is cause understeer, which is then going to prevent us from getting to full throttle sooner. So, anytime, really what this means is that we stopped the car too soon. So when we stop the car too early, then we're a little bit stuck here because now we have to accelerate over to the apex, turn the car, and then accelerate out from the apex. So we want to not do so many motions. What is going on here? We want to instead be decelerating, 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 decelerating to our apex, which is really, that's the first point we should be able to get on the throttle. We should never be able to get on the throttle before the apex unless we're doing some really late apex exit onto a long straight, and then we kind of set it up a bit more. But really, this is the apex here. We're on power from there and out we go. I don't want to be on power here and then just kind of semi-power, semi-power, semi-power. What I want to do is the moment I get on the throttle, I want to be getting to like full throttle, and then we're 100% rather than doing what we're doing now and just kind of like this, right? So I want to be maximizing our acceleration out. So see, we have to now get out of the throttle a bit because we're on the gas too early, and it is going to cause understeer. Now we wait for the car to rotate. Now the car rotates, and away we go. All right, now we'll head out of this first section. But that's really it. It's just kind of getting the car in, getting it kind of slowed down and rotated. And once you have it rotated, then we can get back into the gas. Not getting back into the gas before we actually get the car rotated. That's really the key, because what's going to happen is you're going to lift up the nose. That's going to cause understeer. Then we have to wait longer to get onto the gas. Instead of just kind of using the weight balance to help get the car in, get the car rotated, and then we can use the power to kind of balance the car on exit. And again, like, we just want to kind of get it in there. We actually got on the power late enough there, but we did give it a little blip of throttle, like maybe we thought we were slowing down too much. And all of that does upset the balance of the car a little bit. Here, what we really want to do is allow the car out a bit more so that we have it placed for the next section. Really, it's just about, the strategy we take, but we want to be sort of forward thinking. So we want to let the car out here, get it straight so that we're opened up for this corner. So here we go. So right now we kind of have, let's say, the tilt or the trajectory a bit like this. Whereas if we just let it out a little bit earlier and straighten the car up, our trajectory would be a little bit more like this. And that makes a key difference when we're entering the S's. It'll just allow us to do that first one probably very close to flat, because that's really the goal, is getting it completely flat through the S's. Then it's just one less thing to think about. Through here, we're really good. I'm happy with all of that. Bring in the speed, and then on the power at the apex. That's good. Here, really, I mean, we've braked early and we've kind of slowed the car up a bit early. You know, again, I just need to back it up a touch here. Yeah, so again, we do want to, you know, continue decelerating the car out as we come like this. Get the car kind of more to our exact entry speed as we start to rotate the car here, and then away we go. So we are, let's say the point that we actually want to be on the throttle is probably somewhere around here, I would say. And that's where we have the car pointed enough where we can see our exit. We, you know, we have our visual reference of our exit. We know that when we slam on the power, we're going to use all of that exit, but we're not going to have to be fighting the car on the exit. We're not going to be, you know, having to get out of the gas at all. We're just going to be right on the point. We don't want to, you know, get in here too tight and then wait too late to get on the power. And we don't want to get on the power too early because it'll just send us to the outside. So we want to just continue decelerating through here. That's really the key, because that allows us to just carry our speed as deep into the corner as possible, which the big benefit of that is it forces us to use that fundamental of waiting to get onto the power, you know, because we're bringing in our speed so late. So here we are. And then, you know, when we rotate it, when we get the car rotated, like right now we're still kind of headed out to the outside a little bit. We'll be able to get the car rotated, get on the power, and then kind of shoot out. So now we'll run out onto the straight. And, you know, just like when we're picking up our exit and things like that, just to touch on it, you know, we can really, this is where we kind of need to be looking ahead of the car a little bit and just see that, yes, we can, you know, safely run out like this using all the road, getting to full throttle as soon as we can. So that's really the key. Obviously, this, I imagine, is still running in all-wheel drive configuration, so we have boatloads of traction on exit, but it's just utilizing that. So as we're starting to crest from the apex, we're opening up our hands to allow the car to really stretch its legs. All right, so, but good job. Yeah, absolutely good job. This is where they just throw a bunch of corners onto us, and corner after corner after corner. For here, coming into this sort of hairpin, it's one of these corners that, you know, you will be benefited by kind of driving it in hard, stopping it a bit more, rotating the car, and driving out. So kind of diamonding the corner. If we look at it as a, if I try to draw the actual track. Kind of like this. Right now we're doing this more or less and coming out. But if we really attack in here, go boom, clip, rotating, and then out we go, what we'll be able to do is really maximize our entry speed, get the car rotated. So here's our minimum speed here, rather than right now, I think your minimum speed's probably somewhere around here. We get the car rotated, and then we're like, boom, flat to the throttle by like this point. So we're maybe getting on the throttle here, rather than kind of getting on the throttle over here on the red line and still getting the full throttle out here. So we're shortening our time on throttle, but what we're doing is we're hard on the brakes, get the car rotated, and then gas. So we're stopping the car a bit more. Maybe our mid-corner speed or our minimum speed will be 2 miles per hour down or something like that. But we get the car rotated a lot quicker, and then we're immediately using the acceleration coming out. The car stops really well, and the car goes really well. So those are the things that we need to utilize. We need to maximize our let's say, acceleration and deceleration. and forget about the carrying too much speed. And then that's going to allow us to kind of just get on the gas and get out a little bit cleaner. It doesn't need, we don't need to exaggerate it, but we just, you know, we can get in there, stop, turn, and go a little bit easier. The car goes through a rough one here, eh? And then same here. Don't be afraid to use a little bit more track. Come down here, come down the hill, boom. You know, like we don't have to hug the curb all the way around. We can kind of breathe it and then cut it back. That's going to allow us to carry the speed in and carry the speed out. So down the hill, we did really well. We more or less waited to get on the power to the apex and things like that. But we can have a better plan of attack for these exits rather than kind of holding the car, waiting to get on throttle, Oh, okay, we're at the exit now. We can go to full throttle. We can attack in, get the car rotated, and then get it pointed a little bit earlier, and then boom, attack out. Yeah, and then just try to straight line this as best as we possibly can. That's all I would say. Carry the speed across it. I mean, it's kind of a BS little section, but just try to carry the speed across it as best you can. Use up as much of the road as we can, and just try to get it behind us. Yeah, that was good. Down the hill. Feel free again to just let the car use a little bit more road so that we're more prepared for the next section. So just run it out here a little bit more so that we get it straight earlier, and then we can head into the left, right onto the main straight a little bit more prepared. Now we prepare well for this. You know, it's just, again, allow the car to use a little bit more road, because what happens is we keep ourselves in too tight, and then we're not able to maintain our back on throttle. So use a little bit more road. I like the way that you set up for it, so I'm all for that. It's just, if we can't do the whole thing, if we're not flat from this section, then we're setting up for no reason. So we need to be realistically flat from here. So let the car out a little bit more and then tuck it back for the second apex. So what I mean is, when we're in too tight here, and then we have to do a lift. See, we have to be lifting here because we didn't allow the car to really run out and use the road that, you know, that it should have been using. So allow the car to come out here a little bit more, and then it's easier for us to tuck back, rather than right now we're just kind of, we've pinched ourselves, and then we have to kind of drive out and around before we can get it straight. So use the road out here. All this, well, not way out there, but all this we can use out here. That will allow the car to rotate so that when we're now, like, we're flat, and we're flat all the way down the straight. Okay. See, we're just in way too tight, and our trajectory is not allowing us to stay flat. So those are really the changes. Let's use a little bit, be looking ahead so that we can use a little bit more road on exit, and that's going to benefit us massively. And then just, you know, no throttle until the apex. That's like our rule. So we live by that rule, we'll find time. All right. But great lap, 100%. All right. There wasn't a bunch to touch on. We'll hone these things in. We'll find a bit of time, and then we'll be able to hone a few more things. All right. But great job, Kyle. And we'll talk soon.